Alright, it's time for my recap of The Ultimate Fighter 8, and this is episode 9. I think anything could be better than last week's episode, so let's get into it. Recap of the fight. Last episode's fight with Dave Kaplan versus Felipe Nova. And everyone agrees that taking a punch to the face is a bad game plan. And yes, it was. Glad I'm not the only one that thinks that. Kristoff still has a thumb injury. He's still babying it. And I thought it was a funny part where he got off the doctor's table and his thumb was hurting so bad he had a limp to himself. That's kind of funny. that means it really hurts. Tom and Dave get drunk. That's the rest of the theme for this episode. And I must have missed something. Before one scene, they say, I wasn't really paying attention or doing something else, but they say they exchanged each other's urine to drink. I just saw that on the MMA Junkie recap, so that's news to me. Wow. You have to be really drunk, or Luke Kumo to do that. So anyway, Junie is happy because it takes the attention away from him. Yes, it does, buddy. Dave wants to get hit by Tom, and Tom doesn't want to hit him. It goes on for a while, and finally Tom snaps a punch right at his chin, right? Just puts a good snap at the end to it. Beautiful. Just knocks Dave the F out. The guy is out. He starts making this like buzzing noise. It's like I've had hard drives that have done that before, where it's just seized up. The guy was down, and it took him a while, but he revived. And when he revived, he was saying that he never got KO'd. Yeah. And then we get back into, we're talking about the fight and about Kristoff versus Kyle. And I wrote this down. I thought this was interesting. It says, Vinny says Kristoff has no takedown defense and a weak ground game. Prank is planned by Bader. They take all of Kristoff's, they take all of his bed and furnishings and mattress and stuff and put it in the closet and put toilet paper in there. Then they get everything they can around the house and put it in his room. And that's his prank, since he's going to be fighting this week. Yeah. It's pretty PG, so that's good. And then they show some of Hendo helping Kristoff train. I guess Kristoff is with Team Quest. No brainer there. So that's good to see. Good to see that he came and helped. Kristoff looked good in the training. Everything looked well. At this point, he says his hand is 65%. So it is what it is. He says he's ready anyway. Kristoff takes the prank well. He tipped his hat to him and actually didn't think they had it in them to prank him as good as that was. Which was okay. I mean, like I said, it wasn't anything awful. It's just one of those pranks that's annoying. I guess it's the best kind to do around the house. Coach's challenge, it's that soccer thing where one guy kicks and the other guy blocks and the other guy kicks and the other guy blocks. Right off the bat, Nogueira, who said he has no soccer experience, and I believe him, takes an early lead, and Kyle uses this to start screaming "Goal!" like the Spanish announcers on the soccer games every time he makes it in. And they show Mir just kind of trying to change the subject or just go by him and not let it faze him, but it's really hilarious. And Mir looks really pissed. Nogueira keeps on doing his thing, and as Dana White mentions, Mir just didn't seem too worried about winning or losing, or didn't really try for balls that he could have dived or slid for, or jumped. So Mir just wanted to look pretty and didn't want to mess anything up. And Nog went on to win it. And he won $10,000, and he got $1,000 for each member of his team. And he himself said that he was more happy about getting $1,000 each for each team member. So, and I put here, Mir comes off as a douche. He was talking about how he, try to follow this logic, how he scored on the Brazilian. So that equals him being the superior athlete. Nogueira won, but Mir is somehow the superior athlete, 200 times better athlete than Nogueira is, because he lost to a Brazilian at soccer. So that was kind of a douchebag thing to say, and doesn't even make sense. Kristoff does a revenge prank by moving kitchen utilities and plates outside and setting up breakfast on the ping pong table at the basketball court. It's kind of a weak prank. I wish they would use some more this time to show more of the training, because I mean, they're alright pranks, but they're not really anything spectacular, and they're not the gross out things, which I don't want to see anyway. I just wish we could focus on the training some. I don't know. Rolando ate out there. Opinions differ from the prank was funny to the prank was lame. Whatever. Nog sees Kyle as the leader of the team. I thought that was interesting because, to me, I thought I'd say Bader's the leader of that team, but Nog thinks that Kyle is. So that's interesting. I see more Kyle as like the mascot for the team. That's me, though. Kristoff thinks he can win the fight with one arm tied behind his back. And then they have these are the pre-hype interviews for right before the fight, and Kyle says he wants to injure Kristoff. Yikes. So here we go, Kyle versus Kristoff. Round 1, even until they tie up and Kyle knees the Kristoff's crotch a few times, so ouch. They get pulled apart and they get back at it. Looks like Kristoff's taking the better of the stand-up, so Kyle clinches again, and for a long time there's a lot of no action going on. And from a fight that I thought was going to be very exciting, they actually get a warning to, step it up, or they'll be pulled apart and restarted in the middle of the ring, whatever. So that's kind of lame. This is kind of lame. Finally, you can see Kyle. He wants to finally do something. So while they're tied up, he goes for a takedown and he gets it, it was a good takedown. But he's in the guard, and already right off the start, I see Kristoff's legs way high in the guard, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's trouble. And sure enough, he works him up there and gets an armbar out of this, and he wins. So Kristoff wins by armbar. And it just wasn't the fight that I thought it'd be. It's a letdown. I wanted that fight to be, all out war. I mean, they showed some replays, and Kristoff did land a nice jab, but it wasn't what I expected. And then we got they go back to the locker rooms. Kyle takes it well and knows he'll get better once he trains the ground more. And I say that because he admitted that he's only trained the ground Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 6 months, which is not much time at all. I mean, you need to train a lot longer than that. So he has a lot of upside to him then, if that's the fact. And he handled himself well then, considering he went against a veteran in Kristoff. Nog invites him to train with him in Miami, and if I were Kyle, I would take that invitation. That's a very good invitation to a very good camp. If they could get beyond the language barrier, I'd be really gung-ho about that, and I think he can. He works well with Nog as things are now, so I don't see any problem with them working this well, in Miami. So yeah, congratulations to Kristoff. He moves on. He's going to the semis. And we get the teaser. The next fight will be George versus John. I already have an idea what they're going to show us, at least for the 205ers. I think they're going to try to, separate Kristoff versus Bader. Yeah, they want that as the finals fight to me, because those are two separate camps, going at it at the end. So what they'll probably do is they'll probably make Bader versus Elliott, and actually there's a little history there, so they'll do that, and maybe Vinny versus Kristoff. So that's what I think we'll see. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess, just for fun. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. For episode 10, hopefully the fight's a little better than this week, because the fight kind of lagged. The in-house drama was, it always is kind of boring after a while. The pranks are a little lame, but I'm trucking on. Later.